Hey guys, what's up? So, there are two pharmaceutical companies that are in the running for the devil's prick. One is Moderna and the other one is AstraZeneca. So AstraZeneca the other day had to stop their vaccine trials because somebody got a spinal cord injury. Now, it's probably some sort of a demyelation disease that happens with every vaccine. If you look at I did a video on this, and I don't know if I'd have time to do this because you guys have so much going on right now. But if somebody wants to do it, I'll leave the links. If somebody wants to make a better video with the links that I will put, please do so. Please do so. But it's the same stuff. It's the same, like when the smallpox vaccine happened, a bunch of people got injured by smallpox, and it was basically forced on the public. I don't know if you guys know that. So all these stories that we hear about smallpox being great and vaccines eradicating everything, according to the medical literature, like of the time, so medical journals at the time that weren't completely infiltrated and corrupted like they are now, that were having studies and observations of they called it a surgical procedure at the time of giving a smallpox vaccine, because they first started before the syringe. They first started with like cutting incisions in people's skin and then just rubbing the cowpox in the wounds. So they started with that stuff. Lots of people got sick. Lots of people got smallpox because of that. Okay, lots of people didn't want to take the vaccine, and this is the time before the internet, and basically, on the streets, people were just getting together, like just talking to each other, right? Like they don't want us talking to each other now, because people will start talking to each other. Like I talked to that lady in the store, and then other people will either start getting information or start getting confidence, and then we'll rise up. But this is what happened during the smallpox era. Like in England, this is really documented really well, and people, are on the town card walking around town. Hey, like my sister got the smallpox vaccine, and he has smallpox. There's this person this person in my family got the vaccine. Wait a minute, the vaccine's supposed to protect us. Why are we getting sick if the vaccine is supposed to protect us from, smallpox? People started to revolt. Then they posed a mandatory law, which actually jailed parents for not wanting to vaccinate their kids. So they were putting parents and people in jail for not getting vaccinated. Okay, there is a law, or there's a case. It was like a 1905 Supreme Court versus Jacobson, and basically he had to pay a fine. He already got injured by the smallpox vaccine, and it was mandatory. So they made him. The Supreme Court ruled against him, and he had to pay a $5 fine. It still didn't rule that they have the right to go and forcibly inject people against their will, which is what people are using this case now to say, oh, the 1905 Supreme Court ruling with versus Jacobson is the one that says that you can forcibly be vaccinated against your will. That's some bullshit. Okay, so look that shit up. That's some bullshit. He had to pay the fine. He wasn't made to take the vaccine. But all this was going on back there, right? Like back then, they didn't have social media. They didn't have television. But people in power, royalty, people attached to royalty, still controlled the media, which was newspapers and medical journals. Doctors were getting paid then just to perform this procedure on vaccination, which is like pretty much now. It's the same kind of game, but a little different application according to where we are in time and with the technology we have to use. There were doctors that actually came out and in the time around Jenner, who was credited with creating the first smallpox vaccine, who came out around that time, and they were what am I trying to say? And they were criticizing him. They were like, look, I used to believe in this, and now that I've seen with my own eyes, it's actually causing more harm than good. But they've just wiped all of that history, and now they show us pictures of people with smallpox, and we're like, oh my God, dear God, that looks horrible. It does look horrible, but they're like, oh, well, thank God for the vaccine. That's all we know, right? We just know that because we're told, but nobody goes back and actually compares the medical journals and the newspaper articles of that time. And now that I've done that, now I can see that they're full of shit and they're lying. It's the same scam. Next miracle vaccine, polio, right? But you never hear about the Qatar incident, right? This has happened. This is not even counting the polio, the people that are getting paralyzed from the polio vaccine, now in other third world countries, because that's huge. That's huge, and they've basically. Jamie Corbett does a really good breakdown of that. He shows his sources. I think they probably erased a lot of it, but he has it on video. I'm going to leave that link in the bottom of the description so you guys can check it out. And if that video has been removed, let me know, and I will upload it like on BitChute or somewhere else. But he basically breaks down the sources where he got his information, showing that the modern day polio vaccine is causing paralysis in third world countries, and he shows how the fact checkers use sensationalism and the mental tricks that they play with people in order to hide this information or to make it seem ridiculous, or that people that make these claims are lying. He does a really good job of that, so I would suggest that you check that out. Also, I'm getting back to Qatar incident. So if you look at all the PR from the polio, it was interesting. Just like now, right? Just like now, they have people coming out, people, celebrities calling out COVIDiots, celebrities basically giving up their accounts. I don't know if you saw, Court Report did a really good one on that too, where celebrities are like, I'm giving up my accounts for justice so people can get the real data, blah, 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 blah. So basically they were handing their accounts over to like the CDC and the governmental agencies so they can speak through them. It's really fucking weird. But so with that happening, so for polio era, the PR was the March of Dimes. They got people like Lucille Ball, Ella Fitzgerald. They had Disney cartoons, promoting polio, and polio vaccine, or March for Dimes, and find a cure for polio. And then they found a cure, and it was Jonas Salk, and they have all these footage, and they have all this footage of people in iron lungs, which actually it's been debunked. I'm not saying that people were not in iron lungs, okay? So if you have somebody in your family that was in iron lung, I'm not saying they're making it up. I'm not saying that it was debunked. I'm saying that movie that was made, the PR movie for the March of Dimes with Jonas Salk, like jabbing people and people lining up to get vaccinated, was actually a staged event. And according to a historical site that I found that shows the whole room where everybody's and it's a famous picture where you see everybody, a lot of people in this room that's in the iron lungs, right? And they're trying to give the impression that the hospitals are overrun with all these people in iron lungs, just like they are now, right? Like, but they're fucking empty now, right? So we know that. We know how that works. We know CBS got caught lying 3 times trying to use the same footage, saying, we know how this. I worked in the hospital. It was not overrun, okay? But you see this picture, and it evokes a lot of harsh emotional response, because you're like, wow, look at all these people in the iron lungs. It must have been great. But then I start thinking, well, vaccines don't cure polio. So even if you got polio during that time and you got a vaccine for polio, it didn't cure you. If you got polio, there was no cure. The vaccine is supposed to be a preventative. So if that's the case, where are all the 70-year-olds that have polio? I don't know a lot of people. I talked to my parents. I talked to people in my family. They didn't know a lot of people either that had polio. Right? If it's supposed to be an epidemic, they would know lots and lots and lots of people, right? Just not. So think of the parallels that are going on between that and now. Then 1955, April, Jonas Salk's vaccine comes out, like pow, right? Woo! Oh my God, it's secure. Everybody's happy. We're saved. Blah 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 blah, right? And then a few months later, just a few months later. I wouldn't even say a few weeks later. I'm gonna say a few months to be on the safe side. The Qatar incident happened. The Qatar Labs was actually the laboratory that was making Jonas Salk's vaccine, and basically it gave 40,000 people polio. 40,000 people got polio from the vaccine. So now, when we hear about people getting polio, are we hearing about people that got polio because of polio, or we're hearing people that got polio because of the vaccine? Another thing, just like Corona, right? Like there wasn't a really strict diagnostic criteria for determining polio. Like it was like if you were paralyzed for 24 hours or more, that was polio. They didn't look under a microscope. They didn't determine, just like now, right? They're not, they're conflating the flu with pneumonia, with other stuff, with corona. There's no strict diagnostic criteria to be like, specifically, this is corona, right? They didn't isolate the virus and be like, hey, this is, they didn't isolate the virus and prove that, even in polio times, that the virus is actually the cause for paralysis. And what had to be done was basically you needed to get, I think, an autopsy. You have to get a sliver of somebody's spinal cord because the polio virus would be in the spinal fluid. You'd have to do or in the spinal cord to get a proper diagnosis, but nobody did that. They just basically did it by observation. Oh, you got paralyzed. It can't be DDT, it can't be parascreen, it can't be, tonsillectomies, which there was a huge correlation with tonsillectomies during that time because, your tonsils basically filter. It's one of the filters in your body that filters out stuff. So if you're being poisoned, if you're being, they're, putting DDT, back then, trucks are going down the street spraying DDT. There was, they were saying, oh, you can put it in your wallpaper, you can put it in your sandwiches, everything. And then on top of that, you have your tonsils taken, so it's supposed to filter out any poisons or toxins and stuff. Then yeah, you're going to get sick because you don't have a filter to filter out all those toxins. I mean, it's not rocket science, you guys. You guys just have to know the information. I know, I hope I'm not coming off as sounding too cocky, but I just want you to know how simple it really is, and they're trying to make it complex. So they want to make you think that you're stupid, so we won't look into this information, or you think that you won't be able to understand it, but it's fucking simple. It really is, okay? The same game, just different terminology, different technology used. That's it, all right? So that Qatar incident in 1955, 40,000 people paralyzed by the polio vaccine. All right, let's fast forward to 1976 to the swine flu epidemic, right? 1976 swine flu epidemic. By the way, there is no scientific way of determining what a flu is. I guess they just have some psychics or some shit and they just guess. And but they guess a strain, right? And the strain hasn't matched up for years, by the way. So even if you want to say get a flu shot, the strain of flu shot that has been matching up is or that they've been using to make flu has not matched up. So if they really have to start making the batch by the beginning of, so like for instance, this year's batch was made start at the beginning of this year. So next year's batch is going to be started at the beginning of next year. So they have to predict, right? And they're like, oh, we think it's going to be the strain. Okay, so they have to make barrels and barrels and barrels of the vaccine for the flu. And they guessed the wrong strain for like, I don't know how many years now in a row. And also, for the vaccine court, if you can't directly sue the pharmaceutical industry, but they put money aside. Sorry. They put money aside in a fund, and this fund goes to a vaccine court. You have to sue through the Human Health Services Department, or Human Department of HHS. You have to sue through them. You're not, so that the pharmaceutical industry has no direct incentive to make the vaccine, their product, better, just like any other company would. But they're not getting a hit. So but anyway, when people do sue and they do put together maybe the vaccine was the thing that caused their illness, it's too late. It's really hard to win a case. You have to have a lot of times a doctor to vouch for you. There's no trial, no jury. It's basically just a kangaroo court, like a mediation room. You can't really present any evidence. It's really, really hard to win. But the people that do win usually win for the flu shot. And it's shit like, I don't know, paralysis, Guillain-Barré, demyelation diseases, which is basically eating off, like this cord is your nerve, or your nerve has this cover just like this cord does, right? And it basically just eats through this cover to your nerves. So it leads to all stuff like multiple sclerosis, death, okay? But that can happen with any vaccine, not just the flu vaccine. But I kind of think they tend to win with the flu vaccine more because they can't psych people out. You're older, parents that have just had kids, they can there's not a lot of documentation of them being normal before that. My friend's son was paralyzed by the damn polio vaccine, okay? Modern times, okay? I mean, it's happening in modern times as well. People are getting paralyzed. I've known people that have gotten diabetes from vaccines, type 1 diabetes for vaccines, paralysis, multiple sclerosis, all kinds of things. Just look at the adverse events, right? In the anything from death. If death is an adverse event, but you really weigh your options. Do I want the flu or do I want death? I'd rather just get the flu, right? So fast forwarding, I went a little forward, but I was talking about the 1976 swine flu epidemic. So they were just like, oh my God, this flu, it's going to kill everybody. Oh my God, run, it's terrible. Bunch of people ran out, got the vaccine. Some people died, some people were paralyzed. They actually even did, when 60 Minutes did really good news, right? When they were like real journalistic program, they did a whatchamacallit, they did a story on this, and the story was like basically saying that all these people got maimed from the vaccine that they rushed out and got, and they tried to use celebrities. I think they said that Mary Tyler Moore said to get it, but I think she ended up suing them or coming out saying, well, what are you talking about? I never said anything. You know, I think they were like, Mary Tyler Moore is going to get it. And she's like, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? So these people just got maimed and jacked up. And this is when you can sue, okay? So now, by this time, not only this, the DPT vaccine is causing a huge ruckus, and that's a trivalent vaccine, meaning that the 3 antigens allegedly, okay, because if you go back to the Corvelva stuff, when they're now, you know, outside of the manufacturing company, they're actually going through and trying to find everything that's in the vaccines from an independent source that doesn't have connections to the pharmaceutical industry, because most studies do have connections to the pharmaceutical industry. So you're basically like the fox guarding the hen house, but I digress. So this Corvelva thing, they basically didn't find any antigens, and they found like 6 unidentifiable proteins. They were like, what the hell is this? We don't even know, okay? We don't even know what's in this vaccine. And this isn't even like the coronavirus vaccines. This is the regular vaccines they were giving people that they didn't even know, okay? Oh shoot, I went on a tangent. My tangent went too long. Okay, so going back to the 76, the DPT vaccine, trivalent, 3 antigens, right? Diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis, which is whooping cough. But pertussis is a bacteria that causes whooping cough. So all in that one vaccine. And people are getting asthma. I've traced mine back to that. I think that's what gave me my asthma. But people are getting, like brain injuries, seizures, epilepsy, all this stuff, right? And this is before the 1986 law that was put into effect that stops people from directly suing the pharmaceutical industry. But before this law was put into place, it was put into place because people were suing the hell out of pharmaceutical industries for these damn vaccines, and they were going bankrupt, okay? So think about that. Think about the government comes in and steps in. They're not for the people. They're not. If they're really concerned about making things safer for the people, they're not, right? Then fast forward after that, what was this, like, I don't know, somewhere in the 2000s, they had the H1N1 scare, and just a few months ago, they paid out 60 million pounds to people that got injured by the swine flu vaccine, okay? I don't know. Now that, there was that reporter a few weeks ago that was asking Bill Gates, and they were saying, he was saying, or she was saying that, oh, people are already getting side effects from the vaccine, and Bill Gates was like, oh, we'll just let the FDA handle that. And we're just like, what? She kind of looked at him like, what are you talking about? So, I don't understand why anybody would want to take this vaccine. I know a few people that are lined up, and they think it's going to save them and turn them into Superman or some shit. But honestly, I don't really know why. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why you would trust them. I'm going to leave these links in the bottom. I want you to basically look at these links that I leave and go through them, and you see the same pattern. These people don't ever stop. And even though it might be different people in charge, it's the nature of psychopathy. It's the nature of power, the nature of money. People are going to make money off of something, and they don't have remorse. They don't give a fuck. And this industry draws a lot of psychopathic people, because they know that they can get away with they don't care if people die. They don't care. And then there are people above them that are giving them orders, and they're not critically thinking. They're just following orders. So the people above them even have more sinister plans of, depopulation and, making people merging with AI against their will. It's really sick. So I'm glad that happened. And I think it's funny because now, Trump's on the warp speed thing, and I don't know if this is 4D chess, but if it is brilliant. And now because they hate Trump so much, it's like he used reverse psychology. They hate him so much, then it's actually making them, other people that are against Trump, that were pro-vaccine, look into vaccine. But it's like he had to do that, because it's like, had he been against the vaccine, then they'll be like, oh, he's an anti-vaxxer, and then a lot of people would have lined up and taken the vaccine. But now, because there's so many people that hate Trump, now they're like, oh, this vaccine's a terrible idea. So it's actually working out in our favor. And a few months ago there was an article that I saw in Newsweek, was basically saying if anti-vaxxers are allowed to stay on social media, then most people are going to be anti-vax by the end of the year, or within a few years. The majority of people are going to be anti-vaccine, as per the World Health Organization meeting that they had a few months ago, last year or sometime last year, where they were talking about that anti-vaxxers are converting people 500 to 1, people in the middle. So pro-vaxxers are, for every one person, every pro-vaxxer makes staunchly pro-vax, the anti-vaxxers are converting 500 people. So we're doing great, guys. We're doing great. Keep it up, man. Keep it up. They can't stop us. The truth is out. It is out, nigga. It's out. Anyway, yes, guys. All right, please join my email list. October 1st is D-Day, and a lot of craziness going on. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm still surprised that I'm up this long. But, I mean, this is the best way. I won't bombard you with emails. I can kick myself for not getting on this earlier, but please just sign up. Go to truthertalk.com. Sign up for the email list. You can PayPal me. You can, what else can you do? You can P.O. Box me. You can buy some stuff from the store. Check out our store. We have a lot of great stuff. And I think right now, if you do anything, just please join my email list, because I'm thinking I'm going to be on BitChute. I don't know, that might change. I just want a way to keep in touch with you guys when stuff goes crazy. Plus, my new single is coming out October 1st. That's the launch day. I'm like, great, we picked a great day. But I'll be keeping you guys up to date with all that. I'm sweating like a racehorse. Like, I'm sweating like a horn church. That's my favorite sweating idiom. And sweating like a horn church. My car's, it's hot, and I don't want to like make noise. And then I get those people that are like, you shouldn't be driving, making a video, you gonna kill somebody. I'm like, all right, even though, anyway, but that's it, y'all. All right, I'm gonna leave these stuff in the links. Get to researching. The second module is up. I'll be on the third one. I would love for you guys to also enroll in my conspiracy realism course. All this month is going to be it's going to be $40, and then after the first it's going to go up to $80. I'm just kind of doing beta testing right now, or not beta testing, it's just pre-sale, I guess. Maybe beta testing was pre-sale. And then probably after, at the end of October, I'll start promoting it even more, because all the modules will be up by then. But yeah, all right, guys, that's it. I will talk to you later. Peace and love. Bye. Mwah.